Welcome back to another episode of HU Flow, the podcast here, presented by HU Enrichment. As always, for your host, it's Steven and Marilyn here, bringing you the stuff. So this is different this week because we don't have any guests, as you can see. It's just two of us. So a lot of you have been asking, hey, why don't you guys talk about you? You know, like, we want to know who you guys are, get to know your hosts. So we're doing that this week. We get to know myself and Marilyn. So first off, I'll start with Marilyn. So Marilyn, what do you major in? And, you know, what year are you in?
Well, Steven, I'm a senior.
Mm-hmm.
This is my final year here. Fingers crossed. And I do MEBA and data analytics. So that's management, entrepreneurship, and data analytics. And Steven, you're an alumni, though.
Yeah.
Why are you still here?
Okay. So, like, you're not wrong. Why am I still here?
Why are you still here?
Check it out. I graduated in 2020. I majored in interactive media. So, essentially, that major has been kind of changed throughout the time. So, when I originally came here, I thought I was going to do video game design. But then I was like, I don't want to do that. So, I switched up and did content creation. So, I do stuff like videos, photos, all that stuff. That's essentially what interactive media is. You have a bunch of different things around video game design that expands now to like graphics, videos, all that shit. So excuse my language. But essentially that's what I do. I graduated 2020. And I'm still here because they love me too much. So
Very true.
You know, that's why I'm still here. So Marilyn, where are you originally from? So let's start with that.
Well, I'm originally from Dallas, Pennsylvania, not Dallas, Texas. Dallas, Pennsylvania, it's 2 hours north of here. You basically take 81 all the way, Luzerne County. And for those who don't know Pennsylvania, though, it's by Scranton. That's usually what I tell people.
Okay.
Where are you from?
So I'm from Philadelphia, born and raised. You know.
Eagles?
Yes, sir. We Eagles, but we got our butts cooked. We're recording this last day after Thursday Night Football. So yeah, we're not gonna talk about that one. But we almost come back. But yeah, originally from Philadelphia, born and raised. So that's my city. So you know, it's typically how we get into it. Let's talk about, you know, how was life for you growing up?
Well, that's a great question. And life for me growing up, I lived in a very small town. It was just me and my sister growing up. So I was also homeschooled, though. So I never went to public school. And for elementary, middle school, it was like true homeschool. Parents bought the textbooks. Someone comes in and evaluates to make sure you're doing well kind of thing. But it was fun because it was just me and my sister, and I had a big backyard, and we'd like run around and stuff. It wasn't until middle school, high school, where I did a charter school, Commonwealth Charter Academy, and that's a public school, but it's all online. So That's what I did. And in high school, or at least like in that, I was pretty independent. That's why I was able to do a lot of business classes in high school because electives were like marketing and sociology and stuff like that. And I avoided chemistry because I was able to like reroute my schedule to like not do chemistry. But I had a lot of fun with it. Honestly, it was homeschool, so I would be on Netflix half the day and also playing games. Because I don't know, I like to avoid schoolwork when I was younger, but it did help me to create like to be more disciplined in how I approach school because it was open-ended, and I don't like regulation and like rules and stuff, probably because of that, because I was free to choose for myself. Right. So I would be like, this is my fun time, and then I'll get to work. Right. And that's how I would approach things.
Damn, I mean, that's interesting. Because I've always known you've been homeschooled, but I never knew what the life of a homeschool looked like for someone. I imagine obviously you have more freedom to do stuff because you're just at home doing stuff. But then one more question I'll add on to this is like, was it hard to be social then once you got to that element of having to be social?
So that's what everyone asks about homeschool, and I will say my experience from homeschool is not the stereotypical homeschooler antisocial kind of thing. I was homeschooled. My parents just didn't like the public school system. Dallas is a good school district, but it was my parents' choice. I was given the opportunity, of course, to go to public school if I wanted to. But by the time I was in high school, and I liked the program I was in, and I was rocking with that. Right. So I made a lot of friends at my church group. I had like youth group and stuff like that. And all my friends went to public school, and I grew up with them as well. I knew most of them from when we were babies. Some of my friends, we were born like a couple weeks apart. Like, shout out McKenna. But no, I never had a problem with being social like that. But I was an anxious person growing up.
Gotcha.
Partially because of social situations, but you know, you don't have anxiety just because you went to homeschool. It's a personal thing.
True.
But that's not to say that there isn't the weird homeschool stereotype out there. But again, people are homeschooled for like different reasons. Some for like learning. Sometimes people just like to learn on their own, and that's me. But I didn't find that out I found that out through homeschool. I didn't do it because I was homeschooled.
Gotcha. Okay. I mean, yeah. I mean, for me, like, let's see. Growing up, I grew up in the funny place that everyone knows in Philadelphia. What's Philadelphia? Because everyone loves the French Prince.
Born and raised.
Yeah. So I grew up in that area. You know, I was in public school from elementary till high school. High school is kind of weird because the fact that Philadelphia around that time was going through this weird, crazy phase with the school district where like they're going through this plan to try to save money because they're going broke. Now, the school district is still broke to this day. But their idea was let's shut down about 30 to 40 schools, public or elementary, whatever, to cut down the costs and, you know, focus more on like, I think cigarette taxes, which is basically they're taxing people for more like cigarettes and stuff like that. So the high school I was going to originally got shut down or was going to go get shut down. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to still be here come springtime because then I got to go to the neighboring school, which is further away than the school I'm already at. Because the school I went to originally was in South Philadelphia, but I had a bus ride there, so it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
So my mom was like, okay, we're gonna put you into this little charter school that's like literally right down the street from you. So shout out to Mastery Charter. So I went to Mastery Charter from my 9th till my for the rest of my years. So I was like, that's where I met a lot of my friends. You know, I didn't make a lot of friends in my 9th grade in my old school, but a lot of my friends I made in my charter school. And there's always that stigma around charter schools, which I understand the stigma because a lot of the news is like, okay, charter schools are taking away public schools, which I can see what you're seeing it from a perspective, but like there are some benefits to some charter schools. There's some charter schools that are just really college focused, some that are not. Mine was, so that's why I was really determined to go to college because I was really just taught like college is a good tool. But over time, I learned that also, you know, there's other aspects too, like trade school and stuff like that. So when I got into my 12th grade year, I was known as the kid that no one worried about because my teachers were like, he's going to be just fine in college. You know, he's going to get accepted to every college he applies to, which I did. Not to brag.
Awesome.
Not to brag, but
No,
you know.
right.
But like, I never saw myself as that bright of a kid because I didn't like people praising me that badly. Just because like there's only so much you can really take before it's like blows up in your face. It never blew up in my face like that, but it just got really annoying after hearing it a lot of times.
Yeah.
So you know, I was thinking like when I graduated from high school, it's gonna be fine. But then freaking day of graduation, you know, they're like, oh, we're gonna give this award to like people who are the most college ready. And what do you know? It's me. And I'm just like looking at this award, holding it like this, like it's like I just won a Grammy and everything. But fun little fact, I lost my glasses last month because we had a school trip to somewhere in Jersey, I think Wildwood.
Oh, Wildwood. Yeah.
And I was on the beach and I was wearing my glasses. Worst mistake ever. And I lost them in the water. So they were gone. Never do that, people. Just leave the glasses in the damn locker room. So yeah, I lost them there. And so I was blind when my graduation. I couldn't see anything really. Like my friend had to hold my hand, like get me to the stage because he was just like, bro, if you fall, you got so many cameras that's gonna watch you.
Mm-hmm.
So, and my mom's looking like, oh, is he gonna fall? Is he gonna be okay? And I'm like, Mom, chill.
Mm-hmm.
But I survived, you know, had fun times. I got my glasses later a week after graduation. Cause I was like, can we get them before? They're like, nah, it's gonna take 2 weeks. And it's already like, damn. So, but yeah, that's me like growing up to where I'm at now. I mean, to my high school days.
Yeah.
I went to college here. Graduated last year during a pandemic, which was interesting, but you know, what can you do? So we talked a little bit about life growing up for either of us. So let's talk about how we got here. So I talked a little bit about how I got to HU. How about you?
Well, for me, like I said, I went to CCA. I was doing honors courses in CCA. Never did AP, just because the way my curriculum was laid out, you just wrote papers, and then you took the AP exam, and it was like, well, whatever. I didn't even know what I wanted to do growing up. I was interested in art. I was interested in cosmetology. I love hands-on things. I did some sewing when I was younger. I picked that back up over the pandemic. But the biggest thing for me is growing up, I always knew that I wanted to do stuff. That's what I told my best friend when we were trying to figure it out together.
Mm-hmm.
She knew she wanted to do medical, which was amazing. But that's just not for me. Science was not my strong suit. It was English. So my biggest struggle is like, how can I take what I love to do, but then also put it towards a degree that will be cost effective in the long run, meaning like, what can I make money from?
Mm-hmm.
So after talking like with my family, I really wanted to do cosmetology. For a moment, like I told my parents that, and they were like, you should aim higher. And I was a little offended by that, because I thought like cosmetology is great. Like you can do a lot with it, and you can, become successful with it as well. But I did understand what they were saying. At the same time, my dad told me, like, because I was between business as well. Having said, I took business electives because I was interested in marketing, because I really liked human behavior. Human behavior wasn't a degree that I could make money out of as well. So my dad told me, he's like, well, if you went to school for business, Marilyn, you could potentially own the salon, and that would make you more money in the long run, while also being able to stay in touch with your passion of cosmetology. So that was great advice. Started looking for business schools. Wasn't looking for STEM, but I was looking for something that I could afford, because even though, I had a decent, comfortable life growing up, there was always that pressure of money. We were never able to like renovate my house fully. Public school is free, but but I was always concerned about like the finances of things. Just that pressure overhead. So I began looking around for college and seeing what scholarships I could get. Unfortunately, my dad's a chiropractor, so I wasn't able to really get a lot of the federal funding. And so then I was like, okay, community college, let's go. But that didn't give me a lot of aid as much as Harrisburg University, which I didn't find out about Harrisburg University until I got a letter in the mail. And they had like their scholarships. Once you get a certain age in high school, you start getting all the college letters in the mail.
Yeah.
So I would look at those, I'd look online and be like, oh, this one's got good scholarships, or this one's got a good business program, etc. It wasn't until I got the letter from Harrisburg University in the mail where they actually had a scholarship from my high school. And I was like, whoa, that's insane. Like, full-ride scholarship for my high school. They since don't offer it, I guess because of partnership reasons or whatnot. But that's what did it for me, was really the scholarship here. I was also looking at Messiah because my best friend in high school, Mary, she wanted to go to college together, and I thought that would have been like so cute, because Messiah had nursing and business, and they had a good business program. But then I toured here, and at the time, it was kind of sad, dismal. I toured Messiah before, and it looked really exciting and fun and like a cool student life. But I knew that I wouldn't be able to afford it as much. I didn't want to have as much debt in the long run, even though like I'm going to a job to make money, right?
Right.
But I still want to be able to pay off student loans as quickly as possible. So I ended up getting accepted into Harrisburg University. But I will say though that like Harrisburg, it was not my first choice. However, what I did really like about it though was the STEM aspect of business, because while I was doing my college search, and if you're interested in business, you may find this problem as well. As I was doing my college search, I didn't feel as though the colleges I was looking at were focused on like business for the changing business world. Like it was like marketing, economics, classical stuff in in most colleges. But when I got here, Dr. Penn was talking about like, oh, you could learn coding, you could do this, you could tie this in, you could do entrepreneurial stuff, you could do marketing. And I was like, this is amazing, because I'm the kind of person, I can't stick to one thing. So if I can incorporate many different things when I'm learning and be hands-on about it, that's like exactly what I needed.
Okay.
So along with the finances and the fact that I did like the programming of the school, and I liked the area. Came from a small town. I liked being able to walk around and like go just walk over the river or just walk over here. Didn't need a car necessarily. That's how I ended up here, basically.
Okay. I mean, look, man, I had a different path. I was originally not going to go here at all. So this is something. So I got accepted into 7 schools because my high school, the way it worked is they made us do 7 schools because that's a requirement for us to like graduate and stuff like that.
I had to do 3.
Yeah, see, lucky you, man.
I mean, it's a really big high school.
Yeah, but like it was a drag doing all 7 because some of them ask you for like papers, like tell you like why should we choose you and stuff like that. And I'm looking at these things because I had to apply to at least one Ivy League just because not everyone would do that. Like they looked at your GPA and they had to be realistic about can you actually do this? Like you could still do it even without your GPA requirement. It was just like they're just looking at it and be like, hey, I think you could really get into it if you tried. So I went to apply to 7 outside of Harrisburg, which was I only applied because they visited my school and they just like they threw us in a classroom with them to talk about the school as a whole. I applied to what was the other ones? ESU, East Stroudsburg University, Shippensburg, NYU, Lincoln, which is my safety, Temple because that's in my area, CCP, which is community college, Philadelphia. And I did what's the heck is it? UPenn is the Ivy League, I think, in ours. So I applied to UPenn. So I got into all of this. So originally I was gonna go NYU. I was in New York City. I love New York City. It's freaking awesome. Like yes, it's expensive as hell to live there. I understood that. I understood the debt that I could take on just because of the fact that I really want to pursue my passion for video photography or stuff like that at the time, or like. Something in the gaming industry, if that's there too. So I was going to go to NYU. That was the plan. Literally, the day before I'm about to turn in my application, like say, oh, I'm going to NYU, HU sends a freaking thing in the mail. I'm like, hey, so like we're trying to offer you like a really good scholarship and everything. So you want to pick us, right? And I'm looking at this. I'm like, this covers like 90% of my whole everything. I'm like, oh my God. And I showed that to my mom. She's like, you're picking the school, right? Like you're going to go to the school. And then my dad comes home from work that day. He's like, yeah, forget NYU. You're going to Harrisburg. Like, just take that. Like, look, you will graduate this school with no debt versus the other one, which you're going to be in debt for at least $20K. And I'm like, but Dad, he's like, no, you'll thank me later, which I do thank him later. Thanks, Dad. I appreciate it. So I ended up at Harrisburg University on some like chance. Like, I mean, because I looked at the school and like it wasn't bad. Like the reason why I applied is because outside the financial package, I looked at the major as a whole, and the major has definitely changed since I first came here back in 2017 versus the now. Because this major now has concentrations, like 3 concentrations, has a lot more stuff in it versus when I came, which was just focused on video game design and theory. So I'm definitely happy to see it definitely change for the better. And, like I said, when I came here originally, I wanted to do video games, but I switched up, said I want to do freelance content creation. I want to do social media stuff, and I do really well with that stuff now too. So that was my dream to get here. But during my time here, roller coaster, I'll say that. But I'll save mine for later. Let's start with you, Marilyn. Let's talk about HU. Okay. So how's your time here, man? What's life for you?
Well, I will add quick because you said your degree has changed a little bit. If you were to come to HU now, I'm graduating with a degree or a concentration in data analytics. I was looking at the poster board that we offer now.
Yeah.
Technically, if I were to do it today, I would be a business analyst, and we have an applied math degree now where you'd be a data analyst.
Yep.
Very cool. A little bit different. Just wanted to throw that in there. But for me, I was really excited to go to college. Like I said, I've been home. I think a lot of high school seniors are just really excited to get out of the house and go away. So not too far from me. That was also another perk of Harrisburg is it wasn't crazy far. And my aunt lives around here, so I have some family in the area. I was really excited to move out of the house. Moving went great. I met all my roommates. They seemed pretty cool at first. And then people would come by. It was just like a big social thing. And making friends was pretty cool. But I was a little anxious with that as well. I still had anxiety about hanging out with people and really putting myself out there. So something that I tell freshmen and undergraduates, underclassmen now, is like, just get involved, honestly. That was my biggest thing is I would step my toe in the water and then like not show up again. That doesn't make any sense actually, but I would know people that were doing social things and they'd like tell me to come out to things, and then I just wouldn't go because I'm like, well, what if they're not there? You know, what if this, what if that? That's just lame. Just go. Put yourself out there. I know it is difficult, but like that's what I wish I did. I did have some roommate issues, but you know, nothing that was crazy. I ended up making good friends with my roommate. That I was in a quad in MVP, and that in itself presents some challenges. MVP is something. It's definitely at my time it was something. They've renovated it and it looks really cool now.
Yeah.
But it wasn't renovated when I was there. But I became friends with the person that I shared half the quad with, Maura. She'll probably be on the podcast soon, so stay tuned for that. That'll be fun.
No, definitely.
I did make some friends. Of course, you just do. I got involved in. I don't even think I really was involved in that many clubs. I popped in sometimes for environmental club. I really liked the pasta nights.
You popped in for a lot for the pasta nights.
I loved that. Anything with food, like I'm there. So I'd pop in for pasta nights, some of the school dances. I'd go to those. Mainly would just like hang out with my boyfriend that I made in my freshman year, and that was fun. But I was pretty. I would say that compared to me now, I was pretty closed off my freshman year. That definitely changed second semester because I can't remember if Maura got her car second semester. I don't think she did.
I don't think she did. I think it was her third year she had the car.
Yeah, I think it was second year, but I don't know. I became closer friends with Rosa second semester as well, so that was nice. I liked that. Basically, I became friends with people.
Yeah.
That's what I did. Everyone socializes. And, sophomore year went really well. I don't know, that one's the hard one to talk about in the spring semester.
Yeah.
But sophomore year, my goals going into it were to put myself out there more because I'd reflected over the summer on freshman year. And I would say that I achieved those goals, but at the same time, I was more depressed sophomore year, which was pretty interesting considering I feel like how social I was being. But then we all got sent back home, so it was kind of like null and void.
Yeah, I mean, your college year up to that point was pretty like a spiral, but eventually it gets to like this point where like, okay, everything's kind of getting to a point, and get sent back home because of COVID, and
it's like it was like, you know, topping off like junior year, I was so ready to pop off, and then we were just online, and I mean that was fun for me. I had a lot of personal growth at home. Did a lot of hands-on projects, renovated my little office space. Which
was dope, by the way.
It's really cute. In the previous podcast, the purple room I'm in, I made all that. I was pretty proud of it.
Oh, yeah.
So that was great. Summer freshman year, I went to student life camp. I worked there as a store coordinator. That was probably my favorite job I've ever had. I traveled the country and sold merch. And that's, I got a lot of inspo from that journey to build what we're working on now.
Oh, yeah.
But I'll ask you about your college years, Steven. Tell us all about it. You've been through all 4 years. You did it the right way. For the most part.
For the most part. I mean, freshman year is different for most people in my year because A2 has 2 campuses, one here in Harrisburg, one in Philadelphia. I was originally from Philadelphia, so back then they had this program where like do 1 year in Philly, do 3 years in Harrisburg. So I did that program. So I spent my freshman year at the Philly campus, which we shared with the art school that we're partnered with. So, you know, while we're having classes, another school's having classes next to us, stuff like that. So it was pretty interesting seeing the dynamic of how they do it versus how we did it. My freshman year, we had a total of 15 students at that campus. By the time spring came around, it was like 6 or 7. Just because like half of them was like having like financial issues, or some of them just like, I don't want to do college anymore. I had me and my 2 other buddies, Janelle and Ryan, shout out to you guys, who came with me from my high school. So, you know, my freshman year wasn't too bad because, you know, I was able to make friends on top of my other friends being there and being more vocal with it than I am. Because I wasn't as social as I am today. I had to learn that like pretty much through trial and error. So when I came up here my sophomore year, I was roommates with my brother Ryan, And then my two other roommates were just some randos who I eventually became friends with because they're cool people. I lived in the quad in MVP. Shout out to 504. That was it.
504, huh?
Yeah, that was our room in there. We had a lot of fun times, interesting times there. I would not say all of them were always the funnest of times, but there were some times. But my sophomore year, I made it a notice to myself, like I'm gonna say hi to every person I meet for like a month, see what happens. And then I made my first friend, who actually is a really good friend of mine to this day, Carissa Adjaman, because she was an RA at the time. And I always see her doing at the downstairs steps of my dorm. And I'm like, I'm going to talk to her. And eventually I just got more closer with her. And she was like one of the coolest people I ever met. Definitely still talk to her even after college. So I did that. But then also outside of this classwork, which was like going through the process, because like I knew I was good at classwork. So I had no like stress with that. I wanted to get more social with like involved with the school, like get more pride with the school. So I did SGA, I did student government. At the time it was really booming. Because like I think that class, that freshman class that came in, were really interested in like getting social, being involved. So like the first meeting was like the whole freaking classroom was filled with like students, like there's people who were just interested in clubs and all that. And I was like, man, if this keeps going like this, the sky's only up. And that whole year for my sophomore year, it was like a lot of cool events, a lot of cool times, just seeing how SGA worked and all that stuff. And working myself up to being like a cool member that everyone just knows is reliable, stuff like that was really my goal, which I did. Because I never was one to like be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna just like plan everything or stuff like that. But if you give me like a really high up responsibility, then I'm gonna step up. I know myself. So my sophomore year was like pretty much getting to be more social, which I think I did pretty good myself because I was fully coming out of my shell. I wasn't relying on my two friends to like bail me out. I'm just doing my own thing. So I'm making friends, doing stuff. My junior year was kind of interesting because that's when I just I went down like hard. Because I failed a class in my fall, and that really sucks. Failing class sucks, but you learn that it's just in the now. In the future, it'll be different, which it was. I failed a class. I was starting to just not enjoy most of the stuff I was usually enjoying. Like, the people I was hanging around with, the club stuff I was doing. And, I think I left SGA around that time too. And, I have no ill will against any of the members of that time. It was just like, there were some things that were just not it for me. And some things were happening that I just didn't enjoy. And I get it that we're not being paid for this position or anything like that. That's not a problem. Because, obviously, everyone knows that. It was just like, if I'm not fully committed to it in my own mind, then I'm not going to keep doing it, just drag it out, like forcing myself. I feel like that's unfair to them. And it's also unfair to myself. And then I also just kind of realized, yeah, it's just messing with my mental, just like doing all this stuff or just hanging around with these certain people. Like, I just don't feel like I'm really cool with these people or I'm like really messing with these people. And, I started to question like who my friends were at that time. So, I knew who my friends were like from my day ones, like my boy Ryan, Janelle, but everyone else, I'm starting to get a little iffy on you right now. Just because of like certain things where I'm just noticing they do or talk about the way they go about it. So, because I peep a lot of things, but I just don't speak on them because it's just not my place. So after my fall, I went to go see a monk, and that was fun. I got more, people would say zinned out, but it's not as like generic as most people would think about it. The whole idea of meeting a monk and talking to him, it's like, it goes beyond just getting here good. It gets you just in a new perspective physically and mentally. So I went into my next year in my spring, just like, okay, like I got a new energy. And I won't say the words I will say because it's not for the podcast. But it was like a new year, new me vibe. So, and it definitely showed in the way I interacted with some people. A lot of people, I think I lost some friends because of that, because just the way I perceive stuff now is just like, I wasn't just going with the vibes. I had my own vibe. And I had to be very blunt about how that goes. And then I think a lot of people didn't see it that way. And I mean, like, hey, to each their own.
Absolutely.
But by the time senior year came around, I was like, okay, I'm just going to stop doing club stuff in general. Because I think I was only in one club at that time. So I just stopped doing that. I'm just going to focus on what I want to do for a living and keep pushing with that. And then, everything's going up, Still losing friends there, but like again, it is what it is. You're gonna happen. I think one of the biggest things I took from that experience, especially when I graduated, was you're going to outgrow a lot of people you hang around with. Like you're gonna make some people in college, guys, but you're also gonna learn them for a while. Like you could be friends with them for years, but it's just not gonna be it one day because of just things that you're just not going to put up with anymore, or things you're just not gonna deal with anymore. So after that, I just said screw it, and that's what I did. And now, post grad, a year out, I still do contract work for the school. I work for a lot of cool companies. Still check in with a lot of my college friends from time to time. I enjoy my life here. I got some friends here still go to college, and some who live around here, so it's always a good vibe. But I just learned a lot for myself during those 4 years. So one of the biggest lesson I take is like, make sure you know how you define the way you say friend, because the way I say Marilyn's my friend is not the same way maybe Marilyn says I'm her friend. So keep that in mind, because I swear to you, I think I had a lot more associates in my sophomore year than friends. And then once I realized the definition of friend in my mind, then it was like, okay, these are my friends. You guys are just people I see or talk to. And if you feel offended by that, well, keep in mind that is a you problem. And if you want to fix that by any means, try. But like forcing is one thing. Just being honest about it and keep it going, it's another. So I was that. I learned. I came to be a very blunt person, and not to give zero. You can finish the rest of that sentence. It's a good feeling, but then again, I can see why people think I might be a dick or something like that, but I'm not. It's just like I don't like to just sugarcoat. I just want to keep buck. So that was me. Very good transition. Good. Like basically evolving from a shy guy to where I am today. But you learn a lot in college. So specifically with you, Marilyn, right? So I don't think you talked much about your classes. So like, let's talk a little about your classes. Like classes for you as a business major. How is that for you?
I think I come from a different perspective as well, just because I went into, and I don't know how much people like know about business before they start business, but I went into my business classes having done like a lot of groundwork in high school. I just think like a completely different turn.
Yeah.
I want to talk about friends too, but we'll get back to that.
Oh yeah, we'll get back to that.
So I believe it was my first semester too. I think I took 110. It was either first or second semester I took 110. And the business classes weren't so much the problem. It's a lot of technical vocabulary, but it also depends on your professor, because I had some really fun professors that would do more group activities, and I think that's pretty. I think the word's indicative of business, because you often have a lot of teamwork that you go through.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of both. And I know that in other degrees there's like labs and projects. We don't have labs, but we have a lot of projects as well. And oftentimes you get to be very exploratory with those projects. And that just fits me. I'm a very creative person. So you might wonder why I'm in data analytics. But I love the visual and the visual side of it, where I'm able to represent information in a way that both I understand and maybe my customer understands as well. So it's not even the math for me, which is why probably they changed the degrees around.
Yeah.
But my classes went pretty well. I did have some professors, one in the business program that I didn't agree with, and one in my freshman year was a huge scandal. That was pretty spicy.
That was interesting.
They're not here anymore. I don't think either of them are here anymore.
No.
So that was fun. I think my biggest problem with classes, though, was sometimes it was organization, sometimes it was the content. So for me, I think I said earlier, I'm not one to really gravitate towards science. I love science. I love geology and probably astronomy. Those are probably my favorite parts of it. But when we had SciMind here, I was just like, bleh. Like, she's not work for me. And same with calculus to a degree. So classes, it was hard for me to really figure out how I was supposed to learn something that I just didn't connect with. And I still don't have a very clear answer about it. But what I would say is if you are struggling with the subject and you know somebody in the class, or even if you don't, find somebody who's passionate about that subject in the class that you're in and try and buddy up. So like for me, it ended up being my roommate Mora, probably how we became close quicker than we maybe would have, but her whole thing is like science and stuff like that. That is just not me. So I would like ask her for help and her for advice, and even some other people that I ended up making friends and acquaintances with.
Right. I mean, that's good.
Yeah, that's like my method for it, I'd say. My business classes, I just find those so fun. And I don't know how you feel about business as a degree, Steven, but Maura would always make fun of me, and people make fun of me. No. But in good faith. And I just find business to be so fun. I find it to be so open-ended, because it's not like I'm doing this degree to just like fill out paperwork or something like that. Mm-hmm. To me, this is just like, the world's my sandbox, right? Like, I can make whatever I want now because I have the tools and the knowledge to build out like anything. Like, say you wanted to do like a videographer company for whatever reason. Right. I could help you with that. So that's just amazing. I could do whatever I wanted at this point. And in some ways the options are scary. Because it's like you're on a little boat and you're like looking out at the ocean, and you can go in any direction and you could end up anywhere. But I don't know where I want to go yet with that. At the same time, though, I have a good sense of job security because I could probably, say the economy crashes, I could probably work anywhere from Weiss markets to an actual company. Yeah. But my classes went pretty well. I've always been pretty good at academics. That being said, though, there was a lot that I had to learn, especially with scheduling. Yeah. It does get harder in college, but I think this school is a little easier. Not gonna lie to you.
It's way easier than most colleges in terms of scheduling. I'm gonna keep that honest about that.
So my high school was fairly challenging, and then I got here, and I was like, oh, well, this feels the same. So that was another benefit. But I've always been fairly good at school. Shout out to my mom because she helped me with that a lot. Yeah.
I mean, look, man, because I'll talk about college, my classes too. I mean, classes for me, I was never worried about them things. I just had like certain class. So you always had like that one student in class that's like really annoying. So like you feel like, there's every class. Every class has that one kid that's just like doing something that's either annoying you or the professor. So I had that one kid in a couple of my classes, and I'll just be like, outside of that, I'm chilling. Like the class is fine. I mean, some classes were actually hard, of course, because in my major. Yeah. It's kind of similar to business. We don't get a lot of like labs or something like that, labs or stuff like that. We just get like readings, assignments, or projects. And the projects are long term. Like we'll just do this for the whole semester sometimes, or like, oh, we'll just do this for this month. And the projects usually are like, it involves a lot of teamwork. So like you got to get to know the classmates. And in our major, it's a small amount of people that get to that senior year. And then at least you know them enough to know like, okay, he works a lot. I'll team up with him. She not so good. You just know who to team with. But then when you don't have the option to pick, which our professors really like to do that to us a lot, you're just like, man, yo, give me Amber, man. Amber good, but I don't want Rebecca. Rebecca, a little sus over there. But you get to learn with the time just how like classes go. Because they build you, and understand our major, they make it important to know that you're gonna have to team with people you don't like. So if you have issues with people, you have to handle it accordingly in a professional manner. So, set up meetings with your professor, talk to them, discuss where you can work around this or something like that. Especially because the class size, you keep in mind, is very small. So it's very hard to just switch people out of a group if the other group's doing good. Because what if we just mess up that group just because we switch someone out? So you just got to push through it sometimes. But I definitely had an interesting experience just with like certain people that was like, yo, you got chill, bro. I'm just trying to go in and out. You're just like going on a little tangent here. There are certain classes where I'm just like, why am I taking this? Yeah. Like a lot of my gen eds, which I get it, they're just in my thing. I gotta get rid of them.
Mainly the gen eds.
Yeah, the math. Like I took discrete math. That's the one I failed. Like, dude, this is discrete math to me. they give you a sentence to say this may or may not happen. Then you got to figure out based on this big data table how this scenario could happen. And if it does, if you got a lot more yeses and nos, it's going to happen. But you got no no's and yeses, it's not going to happen. But if it's a mixture of yeses and nos, depending on the order which there are, then it could be yes and no. And I'm like, bro, this is not even numbers. This is just statements.
I couldn't do that.
No, dude. The first month, me and my friend were just like, bro, I feel like I'm stoned, but I'm not. And like we looking at the board.
It just hurts your head like that.
Yeah, and the teacher is like literally writing the whole chart on the board, and I'm like, dude, like, can you just put a projection up? Like, can I use we used the web
extra?
Yeah, so that's why that class, like, I knew I wasn't gonna pass that. I just knew I was gonna chalk it. But then I think after I failed that class, they had a new class up for I meant to take that just saved my butt. Because if I never had that class, there was no shot I would graduate on time. No shot. It's just because of one class. But like overall, IMED classes as a whole, they're just interesting just because they do a lot of different things. You learn about a lot of different perspectives of different majors. I mean, different career fields. So one day you might learn about video game design. Another day you might learn about video production set, et cetera, depending on the class you take. So it's definitely very versatile. And I mean, when we compare ourselves to other majors like business, like us and business go hand in hand because you guys lay the foundation to how we operate. Mm-hmm. We just figure out how to make it look cool.
It's really, I would say, the visual aspect of business
as
well, to some degree, but it also shows that you need to take academics seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, my business classes were easy, but then I struggled in the like the gen eds and whatever else they call the other ones, but that could have messed me up, but thankfully it didn't. Thankfully I passed them all. But, I mean, it was close sometimes. I can't lie.
I mean, look, man, if you're not
when I took coding, that was really close.
Dude, I think I got like a C in coding, but the professor's really chill though, so that's why.
Rumbaugh saved me.
Yeah, shout out to Rumbaugh. He's awesome. He was awesome for that one. But like, but the thing is, when you think about like, so let's switch it up. So let's talk about some things. So let's just first talk about scheduling because we mentioned that.
Okay.
So college scheduling here, I feel like is super more easier than most colleges because we're a small university, so that helps us out. But also, you compare us to like a Penn State where they have lecture halls of 100+ people in that thing. Mm-hmm. Like, you really think on top of that, your major might have different classes at different buildings and stuff like that? Like, you got to keep that in mind. That's much more harder to compromise than what we have because everything's in one building, or soon to be two buildings. But one building, we're good. Multiple buildings, and then I got to run point A to point B. I don't even have time for lunch probably sometimes.
That's true. I haven't even thought about that. I know that the other building will be more nursing focused, I think advanced manufacturing.
Yeah.
But gen eds will probably still be over here.
Yeah.
So you'll have to consider scheduling with that, but also you put up an important point, especially with bigger schools.
Yeah.
I like you said earlier, I got to know everyone in my classes, especially now. But I remember hearing about scheduling your classes.
Yeah.
And how it can be very competitive. And I know it is competitive in some degrees. I know Morris talked about classes filling up really fast, but business is a smaller degree even here at HU. I did not have to worry about my business classes filling up. Gen eds, yes. If there was like a gen ed that like fit my schedule perfectly, I would pick those first, and I had to make sure that those didn't fill up. But that's a good point too. I never even thought about that because I didn't even live it.
Yeah, I mean, my major, we didn't really have that much competitive nature. It was just like, once they started introducing like concentration, that's when it got competitive. So I think a lot of people were just like, yo, bro, I'm trying to come with me to fill up this class. Like, they got people literally just taking this spot just to hold it so people can think about it. And I'm like, why are we doing this, guys?
That's interesting.
Yeah, it was a weird time during that time, but I never did that because I'm like, what if I actually ended up forgetting that I hold this for you? Now I'm stuck in this class with you. Like, this is not even part of my major. Like, I don't need this. Like, go. So that was always a weird time. But scheduling in a nutshell, I feel like it's much easier for smaller schools versus a larger school because you got to think about different locations that campus has.
Definitely.
So keep that in mind for our high school students. Or just college students, if you think about transferring to another school, that's something to keep in mind for sure. But we also wanted to jump back. I remember you said you want to talk about friends. So what's up with you and friendships, man?
Oh, well, you were talking about like knowing your friends. I developed a little bit of a saying, I guess, when I was talking with my friend group back home, because we're all still really close. It's amazing. And we were talking about how freshman year, the people that we started to hang out with originally oftentimes weren't the people we ended up being really close with.
Right.
So I thought of it as like, and they all kind of saw it as well. The people you hang out with like the first 2 weeks or so, they often, like all of us talking together, often didn't hang out with them the rest of the semester.
Right.
They were more the acquaintances, the like icebreaker friends.
Yeah.
To building like real relationships with people. I am someone who, to be a friend with me, you really just have to be nice to me and we have to connect. Right. I realize that I define friendship, I think, very loosely, which can be a problem because if, say, someone like you defines me as like an acquaintance, I might be hurt by that. But that's something I learned about myself. And then I've changed my definition around a little bit. There's nothing wrong with being an acquaintance with people.
There's really not.
Sometimes that you have to be an acquaintance with people. You guys just might not connect. You might not vibe the same way. I also am a very social person, so I like having a lot of friends. But I just wanted to say to those who might be struggling with that or thinking about how are you going to form friendships in college, it's okay if you don't connect with people right away and if you are acquaintances with people. Because oftentimes that might be the person that you call up to like hang out for a little bit, and then maybe in that instance you'll like find someone that you really connect with. And that's fine. That's kind of how friendships are formed and like forged, strengthened.
Yeah, pretty much. You know, you won't be able to talk to your friends all the time. Maybe once in a blue moon, especially at post grad. Like a lot of my guys those were my day ones. I don't talk to them that often because like we got different responsibilities. You know, sometimes they got I'm texting them or trying to call them. They're at work or something like that, or they got other responsibilities. Some got kids. You know, so I got to keep that in mind if I ever reach out to them. So I understand that. So whenever time I get to spend with them, I enjoy those times because you know you don't get those times. But also, you have to set the fine line between somehow knowing the difference between the two, their friends and associates, because not all of them are bad. Some of them can be bad because just because you can have a falling out. But like, I think it's only worse when you have to downgrade someone from a friend to associate because it's like you started on a high note, then it's like, all right, bro, you here now, like you bottom of the tower or the bottom of the tier here, and
that's also part of emotional growth as well.
Yeah,
and there's nothing wrong with that. It's part of going through the motions and growing up as a person.
Yeah.
And it's pretty important to learn. But it's okay because it will be hurtful sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on everyone, of course, but oftentimes it's a lot of growth. I think the social aspect of college is a huge part of how we develop and continue to develop as people. Some people I thought I was going to be close friends with ended up just being acquaintances, or they even, most of the time they ended up transferring schools. So we weren't able to develop the friendships that I thought maybe we would have had. And then other times, I recently reconnected with someone who I thought was more of an acquaintance to me. And that was like really nice because now we're close friends. So you'll have instances like that as well. And in college, it's kind of like a concentrated way of making that happen because when you think about it, when you get out into the real world, your interactions are more spread out.
Yeah.
You might just be confined to your workplace, but your workplace isn't as big as your circles in college.
Yeah.
So it's really now is the time to get out there, make mistakes, make friends, lose friends, change your degree.
Definitely that.
Hopefully don't go into too much debt, but like a little bit of debt will get you by. I really would advise to just explore who you are as a person, spirituality, religion, try it all, try as much as you can. Because even if you don't go to college, these years of your life, that's the time that society kind of deems it acceptable to make mistakes right now.
Mm-hmm.
And absolutely go ahead and do that.
Yep, 100% do that stuff. I mean, and the point I want to jump back to what you're saying about how you reconnected with people, there was this one friend that I knew here at the school. Her name is Brianna. Shout out to Brianna. Her birthday's tomorrow, so hope you enjoy
happy birthday.
So I knew her because of my other friend Tiffany, which I'm more associates with now than the friends that they basically went to high school together. So me and her, we love Korean dramas, the Korean culture, K-pop, all that stuff, and we really connected with that. But then when she graduated, because she graduated in 2019, she moved down to Florida. She's doing her thing down there. I was like, I think during quarantine, I was so want to reach out to more people, see how they're doing. Because I think that's one of the important things people were trying to do that last year was just making sure, hey, man, I know it's crazy this year, but what's going on? She was, how's life? What's the poppin'? So I reached out to her, and I was just talking to her, just get more connected with her. And then we started talking more and more often and stuff like that. And, we got more into our friendship than ever. And it's like really crazy how far we've gotten in the span of a year. So definitely reconnecting is something really important. I think you should try it every once in a while. If you have that one person that you're like, okay, man, I didn't hate him. I didn't really despise him, but I really enjoyed our company. So let's talk to him. So, I think, like I said, our birthday's tomorrow. So what I did for her birthday was, I know a lot of the groups she likes listening to and stuff like that. So, and back in January, I had this whole plan, like, all right, I'm going to try to get like one of the groups to like say happy birthday to her in a video. So I almost got it, almost, but like their conflict schedule stuff like that happened. But they got me an autographed album of their one of their latest hits, and she does not know that's in the box.
That's really cool. That was really cool.
And I have that, and also 6 other ones that are also autographed signed by different groups and stuff like that. So it was something I really want to do, because I was like, yo, last year was trash. This year, I'm going to hit you with something crazy. So if she does not know any of that, I just told her, like, hey, this is a video I'm going to send you. Watch the video. Then you're going to open the box. And then I'm sorry I lied to you for the last 7 months. But that was so worth it. This is one of the benefits of reconnecting with friends. You really learn how much you value their friendship and stuff like that. And, I appreciate her friendship. She's really dope. Love her to death. And I just wish her the best. So definitely something that I love doing. Have you seen that thing on TikTok where like they're doing like the Kesha song where I hear your heartbeat to the beat of the drum, and they knock on the door and they run hella hard? Have you seen that video on TikTok yet?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm on TikTok like once a month. So.
Okay, so then the TikTok, you wouldn't see that one.
And I'm mostly on like, if I am on TikTok, it's like fashion or cooking videos.
Got you. So wait, okay, so that's
interests and hobbies.
Okay, so like, what app? No, let's think about what app are you on the most? That you got to say.
I think it's unfortunately Instagram. I think Instagram has a vice grip on like my phone time, and I say unfortunately because it's so dead.
It is.
I just really scroll through Reels, which is like watched up TikToks anyway,
or Twitter videos,
or tweets, and I don't know why I'm there.
So here's the thing. So if you looked at your phone, right, and you looked at the screen time you have, you'd be surprised by that number.
You want to check?
I can. Let's do it. So let's see our screen time that we average daily, and then let's see what's our freaking the worst.
Okay, my daily average has been 3 hours and 19 minutes so far this week. With Instagram, I think it's for the week. Almost 5 hours so far this week I've been on Instagram.
So my daily average for the week is 6 hours and 54 minutes. The app I'm on the most.
Oh no.
It's not even the social media app. So I read a lot.
Is it like Webtoons or something?
Nah, it's Firefox. So Firefox is just like a Safari, stuff like that. So the reason why I'm on it so much, because I read a Webtoon on Firefox, because my Safari doesn't like opening it on that website, so I use another thing. So I'm on that thing for 4 hours and 23 minutes. Because I just, like I said, I'm a big fan of reading, so I like to read a lot. Second one would be Bleacher Report, which is an app for sports. So, because I also do betting sometimes. So
that's a lot about Steven right there.
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of just like, because one of my favorite sports is soccer. I have a lot of family who lives in England. So shout out to Manchester United. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, so when I get to visit England from time to time, I get to see a game, and I love Manchester United because it's just I grew up watching them play and watching guys like Ronaldo play. So definitely love it. So that's why I love sports specifically. But yeah, I think so. Here's my last question I ask. So do you think do you think there's an issue with people with social media in terms of like how often they're on it? Yeah, that's pretty much
okay.
Yeah,
yeah, I think I definitely have a scrolling addiction or something like that.
Right.
I just get in like that social media trance. I hate it because I want to do more with my time. I've read a couple books that I like genuinely need to read.
Right.
Something else though is, I mean, I just live in my little apartment.
Right.
My roommate's not there all the time. I'm not there all the time.
Right.
But it's hard to find like my little space where I can, one, be comfortable,
Right.
and two, actually concentrate and generally get in like the mind space
Right.
to read and develop myself. I have a hard time focusing on things too.
Right.
So that's like focusing to read or do schoolwork. It's like one or the other for me. Absolutely, social media is an issue.
See, have you seen The Social Dilemma?
Yes.
So, and basically, The Social Dilemma, for those of you who haven't watched it, it's a Netflix movie.
Definitely watch it.
They have it also on YouTube a little bit till a certain date. They just put it out there because I think it's really important that a lot of people do watch it. Because, if you're serious, they are really getting on the issue of social media platforms like your Googles, your Facebook, your Instagrams. Your Twitter stuff. They're basically on social media as a whole and telling you, like, yeah, they know how you think. They know how you do everything. It's scary to see how they know it, but understand that they're saying this stuff as, one, these guys used to work in the field, so they know because they created these objects. And two, they're telling you ways to go around their own creations. Why? Because some of their creations can lead to situations where it might just lead a group of people down a path where it can get a lot of crazy. Because a big topic they're talking about is this polarization. You know, how like a lot of things politically are just getting thrown in there, a lot of information, misinformation, all that stuff. But also highlights the key importance of social media as well. While yes, it is a very scary thing to use in the wrong hands, you should understand that this is the ways you should properly use it because it helps people out. They were mentioning on WhatsApp. So WhatsApp is pretty common more internationally than here because a lot of people need WhatsApp internationally because a lot of laws, law regulations on social media. So WhatsApp is like that gateway through. So with WhatsApp, you know, when it was down, because this kind of leads into the last point I'll make. Social media was down last week, or was it 2 weeks ago?
No, it was last week.
Last week. So Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram, they're down for the longest they've been down since the late 2010 era. So that's crazy to think about. But also, keep in mind, everyone went to Twitter. Everyone went to Reddit, TikTok, anything else they liked. But, like, a lot of people were, like, making jokes about it. But let's be honest here. The amount of people that depend on these platforms, it's crazy. Especially WhatsApp, just because of the communication. Emergency stuff, like 911 calls. They need that stuff over there. They don't got WhatsApp, they have nothing. They're basically ghosting the machine. And a lot of those people for the last 8 hours had to experience life without the internet, which was insane to say, but that happened. And it's scary. So, like, after hearing that, like, what are your thoughts on this?
Oof. Well, it was a pretty big deal. I mean, for me, it was awesome because I think my just default is to, like, open Instagram and scroll.
Yeah.
It was nice to not do that. I was, like, paying more attention to people. I think that I know WhatsApp is very popular. I think that raises the concern of maybe not social media dependence, but infrastructure in countries that depend on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Because it's great that WhatsApp exists, but it's hard to just depend on the one thing that is associated with Facebook, and that's a whole other like can of worms.
Yeah.
Either WhatsApp becomes dependent or we diversify what people use, which might not be as convenient to decentralize a communication system. But yeah, I'm not really sure how I think about it, but on one hand, it shows that we are pretty dependent on social media. And obviously they know how we think and how we deal with things, but on the other hand, like it is very helpful in some aspects, especially communication.
Yeah.
And it's almost like I guess two sides of a coin.
Yeah.
In a sense, so it's hard to, I guess, debate one or the other. There's not much to debate there.
I think everyone just knows the difference. It's just like they're just so used to being okay with the difference. Because like we all know it's bad. We all know ways we can avoid it or limit it, but we just don't do it. Like screen time, you can set limiters on apps you can be on. So like 1 hour on Facebook all day.
I have one. It doesn't
doesn't
stop me.
Yeah, like you can just ignore it and just keep pushing. So I think ultimately it comes down to you willing to make that major change in your life. And yes, it sounds like a small change, but no, a lot of people it's different. I mean, like in our field, we have to be on social media a lot of times. Exactly. So it's very hard for us just to sign out because, you know, we're losing money at that point.
Or I'm paying attention to what's going on.
Yeah. I think you just got to learn how to filter things in and out and then find time. So, like, for me, my screen time used to be like 10 plus hours in a week. Now it's as low as 5 to 6, which is great. But it's important to know that, yeah, it's a bad time because that's like a lot of time I could use to do other things.
So some advice that I did get growing up is if you're trying to change a behavior that you don't like, replace it with something else.
Yeah.
So instead of like, for me, if I get back from class and I sit on the couch and I open my phone, replace that with maybe turning off my phone and picking up the book, or like having the book close to me or something similar to that, even if it's just cleaning, just to like, because I'm using Instagram to decompress anyway. Maybe I could just clean something to decompress. Or something that's actually productive.
True. I mean, also, when it's nightfall, wherever you guys are, if you have an iPhone, it switches to a certain type of lighting, which is more warm and more like, if you're the type of person that's in your bed before you go to bed, you go on your phone, make sure you turn into, I forgot what it's called, but it's basically like a night mode. Where basically the light, because a lot of times the certain type of screens you have on will really keep you more entertained. So turn night mode on. That should also help you sleep better a little bit because it helps you feel more comfortable. Like, okay, I want to actually turn my phone off, not get back on it before I go to bed. I'm just going to go to bed. Because, my policy is after 1 a.m., I'm off this phone until the next day I wake up. So, because that's something I just force myself to do because I would be on my phone for another hour and then go to bed, which I don't want to do. I just want to go to sleep so the next day. And because the same thing I'm doing right now in bed, I could do the next day, no problems. It's just like, okay, I was going to make myself remind myself, add in my notes, or just remind myself. It's simple, but I just don't want to do that because I got it now, but I got to say I got it later too. So, but outside of that, I don't think I got anything else I got to say. Do you want to say anything else? Or
shout out to 701 MVP. That was my freshman year dorm. And 1211. But Ashley, I know you know where that crack came from. And
hey, yo, come on.
All right, well, guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of A2 Flow. It's been real. I'm Marilyn. This is Steven. Since this is a special episode of the podcast, Steven and I, when this episode goes live, we'll be answering your questions on our Instagram and Facebook stories. So we'll have a poll box there. You guys can type in any questions that you might have for us, whether it be about life, academics, whatever. It could be anything. We will answer them for you guys on our Instagram. So stay tuned to social media. Follow us below. Please like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more episodes of A2 Flow Podcast.
Yep.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Later, guys.